Live from your local election headquarters, this is Battleground Florida. Here's Evan Donovan.
Florida Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried suing the Biden administration over the prohibition on buying and owning guns for people who use marijuana. An exclusive sit-down on Battleground Florida right now. Good morning, folks. I'm Evan Donovan, joining you live from Tallahassee in the Florida capital. Technically speaking, if you smoke weed, you can't buy or own guns. I doubt that federal agents are going to beat down your door right now, but technically speaking, it is against federal law to both smoke marijuana, be a user of marijuana, as well as any depressants, stimulants, anything like that, and buy or own guns. At issue is the ATF Form 4473, which specifically makes that a prohibition and actually has a note within the form saying that even if you are living in a state that has legalized medicinal marijuana or even recreational marijuana, you are still breaking federal law. Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried wants to change that. The Democratic candidate for governor joins us live on Battleground Florida right now. Commissioner Fried, thank you so much for joining us. I know this is something that you have been working on for a while. You've been very open about being both a medical marijuana patient in the state of Florida and a concealed weapons permit holder. Tell me why this lawsuit was so important for you to file, given that you are a Democrat who is suing a Democratic administration.
We've been working on this lawsuit for many years. And I think it was really important that no matter who was in the White House, these are federal policies that need to be changed. These are issues that I have been dealing with and fighting for almost my entire professional career, my time as a past public defender. And it was really important. I hear this issue every single day from patients all across our state and all across our country that have medical marijuana cards that are legal, that are in our Florida Constitution, but now are prohibited from buying a firearm for personal safety, including myself. And so this is something that has been an issue that's been bubbling up for a long time. We're seeing a movement all across the country on whether it's 37 states that have legalized medical, another handful that have full recreational. And it's time for the federal government to realize that they've created discriminatory policies for medical marijuana patients.
Got a little audio stuck right there. I'm not sure if it was me or you, Commissioner Fried, but thank you for answering that. I want to just follow up with you. How concerned are you about alienating Democratic voters, particularly those who may have different views on guns than you do?
And this is not a difference of opinion of guns. Everybody wants a thorough background check on our gun owners. And actually what this does is it now allows our medical marijuana patients to actually buy guns legally. And that means they're going through background checks. This is actually creating a safer environment for those individuals. So we know that some medical marijuana patients are forced to either decide to lie on the forms, which is never advisable, or to have to go to a private sale, which is again outside of background checks. So this actually, we are all on the same page. We all want responsible gun ownership. And that's exactly what this does. That means that now medical marijuana patients can be responsible gun owners, where beforehand and still to this day, they can't. So I've spoken to a lot of gun safety advocates. I've told them and talked to them about this lawsuit because I wanted to make sure that I was listening to all sides of this conversation. And after explaining to them, this is actually going to provide a safer environment for our state and for our country, they too are understanding what this position is.
Why do you say safer environment?
Because what's happening is, a lot of our marijuana patients potentially are going into private sales, which there are no background checks on. This way, now a marijuana patient can go through every other form, like ATF forms, to purchase guns. And that will require a federal background check. So in fact, now more of those individuals who are potentially going onto to the black market or to public sale, to private sales, are now going through the process of the ATF form and going through a complete and thorough background check, like we do inside the Department of Agriculture for our concealed weapons permitting program.
Several people in the run-up to our interview today pointed out that you have obviously a history that you've acknowledged as a lobbyist in the medical marijuana industry, several personal relationships, including one very close personal relationship in the past. Can you just address those concerns of whether there's a conflict of interest here for you?
Of course, there's no conflict of interest, and that's just somebody trying to make confuse the situation and confuse the issue. This is something that I've been an advocate for and fought for. You look through my entire record, even before I was a lobbyist on this issue. Back when I was a public defender, these were issues that I was fighting on and fighting for my clients back then. This is something that the entire, we're seeing the polling on this across our state and across our country is well over 60, 70%. People are in agreement that legalization has to happen for economic purposes, social justice reform, criminal justice reform, healthcare reform. There are so many other issues that are impacted: employment, access for veterans, getting their benefits, to even banking access, which, if people remember, my own personal bank accounts for the campaign in 2018 were shut down because of my positions on cannabis. So we need to move our country forward on this prohibition, end it, and so that's where we need to go. That's where I've been, for a majority of my life, and certainly throughout my entire professional life, both as now an elected official as well.
Were you disappointed that none of the constitutional amendments that would have put the question of legalizing recreational marijuana or adult use marijuana to the voters made it onto the ballot? And is there anything you can do for people who want to see that happen?
Yeah, of course, I'm very disappointed. And unfortunately, you're seeing a Republican legislature time and time again making it harder to get citizens' initiatives onto the ballot because the people speak and they speak loudly. Look at all the constitutional amendments that have passed in the last 20 years, whether it is a fight for 15, whether it's medical marijuana, whether it's restoration of civil rights, and making sure that, basically that all these issues are so progressive in nature that the Republicans don't like them getting onto the ballot. And so we see time and time again that they're making it more difficult to actually go through with this. So I'm disappointed that it didn't get onto the ballot. And what voters can know is that when you have a Governor Fried administration, that is one of the first things that we're going to do is work on legalization for here in our state and continue to work on the federal side of things.
I'm going to bring in our digital anchor, JB Buno, to tell you how you, the viewer, can get involved here today with Commissioner Fried. JB, tell people how they can chime in.
Good morning. We got a lot of Florida being represented. I believe Nikki's joining us from Miami. Evan's joining us up in Tallahassee. I'm here in Tampa. Good morning to everybody joining us on the WFLA Facebook page, as well as on the WFLA YouTube page. We are going to be featuring some of your comments using the hashtags all around your screen. We're really looking for hashtag Hey Nikki. You can also use hashtag Hey Evan or hashtag Hey JB. We've already got some comments in the queue. Also want to let you know that we are running an interactive poll. Nikki will be able to show you some of the social media poll results here at the end of this live stream in just a couple of minutes. So for the folks joining us on Facebook Live, just wait a couple minutes and you'll see that interactive pop up on your screen to vote in the poll. And the poll question reads as follows: should marijuana users be allowed to buy guns and maintain concealed carry permits? Very interesting, of course, to see the poll results start to trickle in. Let's get to some of the comments that are coming in. Just again, you have to use one of the hashtags to be featured on our live stream. This one coming in with hashtag Hey Nikki from Cindy Kiernan, saying hashtag Hey Nikki, I fully support you, and then a lot of emojis there as well. Also should point out, Nikki and Evan, a lot of our commenters are commenting happy 420. Of course, it cannot be understated that we have legislation here that is being introduced on April 20th. Also want to get this comment in here before I send it back to Evan. Andy Michael saying hashtag Hey Nikki, I have my medical marijuana card. I wouldn't buy a gun even if I was allowed. We need more gun control, not less, is the opinion of Andy Michael in our comment section. We'll look for more comments using the hashtags in our Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. But for now, Evan, we'll send it right back over to you.
Yeah, and thank you so much, JB. And that's a great point for us here to jump off of. First thing I want to point out is that it's not just for medical marijuana patients, right? If you want to buy or even own a gun, technically the federal form tells you that you are not allowed to do so. And obviously you technically wouldn't be allowed to have marijuana either, unless you were a medical marijuana patient. So I guess you'd be breaking two laws then if you did that. But Nikki, I guess, can you sort of address that? Are there any safety concerns? I know you said you had conversations with gun safety advocates. Are there safety concerns about people using marijuana and being gun owners? Or do you see this as the same thing as someone who drinks beer and owns a gun?
Yeah, I mean, look at they don't ask, people drink alcohol all the time. People have other type of prescription medications, and that's not prohibited. But this is a medicine that is in our Constitution, that I have a right, that people in the state of Florida and 37 other states have a right to have medical marijuana. And so what this doing is that saying that you can't now, also have your Second Amendment rights. This is not by any stretch of the imagination making this less safe. In fact, again, this is going to make things more safe. And I agree, Michael, this is, certainly we need more gun regulations. We know that. And I have been a proponent of, making sure universal background checks, making sure that we are taking, that we are not, the gun, ghost guns that are out there. This is something that needs to be changed. This is discriminatory on its face, and having people to make a decision between, getting a job and medical marijuana, and same thing on VA benefits. This is just showing that the rules and the laws that are happening in Washington D.C. don't match up with the reality of what is happening across our country. This is one of the last steps to really start to kind of make sure that the national policies mirror that of what's happening across our state. And so this is actually something that is going to make our state and our country more safe, because people are going to have background checks who are medical marijuana users or people that want, for personal protection. I am all in favor of responsible gun ownership. And this is making sure that medical marijuana users can be responsible gun owners if they so choose to have their firearm.
Have you talked to the Biden administration about this? Has there been any pre-discussions? Where do you expect this to go?
Yes, we actually had a conversation because, of course, as our only statewide elected Democrat, I respect the Biden administration and making sure that we had conversations with them prior to this lawsuit, letting them know what this was happening, be willing with my general counsel to talk through any of these legal issues beforehand with either Department of Justice or somebody at ATF or somebody inside of the general counsel's office with the Biden administration. So there's been conversations. They're well aware of it. They are certainly going to keep in communication with us. My goal at the end of the day is that for President Biden and our interim ATF secretary understands what this issue is and moves on it. My goal is never to get into the courts, but to start finally moving the needle when it comes to legalization at the federal level and to change these ATF forms.
Well, let's talk about that, because the president has been very hesitant to move towards legalization. Have you been able to kind of sway him in any way? I mean, it's something that, Mark Caputo, who broke this news on NBC News this morning, pointed out that John Morgan, who was considered a candidate for governor several years ago, pointed out that he was disappointed with President Biden's position on legalization.
Yeah, I certainly had during the campaign and certainly thereafter had a lot of communication with his team and people around him, close to him, on trying to, move this conversation along. I've had, again, this is not just so people can just go and smoke. That's not what this is about. This is an economic opportunity for our country, for our states. This is an opportunity for good paying jobs for people. And I'm Commissioner of Agriculture. My farmers want to get involved in this green industry, which is why I legalized hemp, to give them those alternative crops. And so this is something that as a society, we're also still seeing tens of thousands across the entire country of Black men and brown men still being charged with possession and other types of cannabis related crimes, where other people across the country are making millions upon millions of dollars on this. This is something that is an issue that needs to be addressed. I unfortunately, as is John Morgan, the administration is not where it needs to be. That hopefully they'll understand that this is an issue that the people want, the people are behind, and hopefully we can get not just President Biden, but we know that the MORES Act passed the Congress a couple of weeks ago, hoping that the Senate can come up with the same resolution and finally get either a decriminalization or full legalization, or at least a descheduling.
Commissioner Fried, I'm conscious of your time. Let's bring JB Buno back in to see if we have any comments or questions from viewers. And I know we'll need to let you go fairly soon. JB, how's it looking?
Yeah, we've got some more comments coming in, Nikki, including one from Tony here saying, hashtag hey Nikki, I'm with you, exclamation point. We have a question coming in. This is an interesting one. It comes from Luna Faye in our comment section saying, hashtag hey Nikki, when will marijuana be legalized for recreational use since New Jersey just legalized that starting tomorrow? There have been others who have been asking the same question without the hashtag, but Luna here using the hashtag hey Nikki. So Evan, I'll send this one back over to you. There's another question also as well in our comment section looming.
We'll come right back to you then. Go ahead, Nikki. I knew we just sort of talked about it a little bit, but do you think that there's a full legalization on the horizon?
I think that in the state of Florida, the only way that we're getting to full legalization anytime in the near future is a Governor Fried, clear and simple. Our current governor does not, has said very, very publicly that the legalization will not happen under his watch. Has said that there is a pungent smell associated with marijuana, and so the only way that this is going to happen, folks, is getting a Governor Fried into that office to really push for legalization.
What about on the federal level? Do you see? I mean, like we just talked about with President Biden, not something that he's been on board with, but do you see a court challenge? How is it going to happen? Because it does seem like it is somewhat inevitable.
Yeah, of course it's inevitable. I mean, we've got 37 states that have done medical, and again, another handful that have done full legalization. So the country has moved in that direction. The polling across the nation is there. And so now it's time for people in Washington, D.C. to start listening to their constituents. And so I do think that this lawsuit hopefully not only gets the Biden administration to move the needle on at least the ATF forms, but start to recognize and to really understand that there is a full breadth of complexity that gets put into people's benefits, again, VA benefits, to access to capital, to housing, to employment, that there are so many issues that get wrapped up with this one simple plant, that we are certainly hopeful that this lawsuit starts to really kind of push this issue along, make other people recognize, because most people I talk to don't understand and didn't know that marijuana users can't purchase a gun. And so when more and more people across our country are starting to wake up and say, wait, that doesn't seem right, you're going to hopefully see more pressure being put into DC to actually get us to legalization.
Maybe let's bring you back in for that question that you mentioned.
Yeah, last one that we have coming in from our Facebook Live audience comes from Timothy Lopez, hashtag hey Nikki. If you are successful, do you plan to go back and make it right with people who have been charged or stripped of CCP licenses? So talking about what this would mean for previous applicants for CCP licenses. Evan, I'll send it back over to you. And we have our poll results on the back end here as well, which I'm sure both of you will be very interested to see.
Okay, Nikki, I'll let you take it away there.
Yeah, look, I've also been very vocal, that I do it all the time when we're on the clemency board, that any time that anybody's been charged with a marijuana possession, that their records have to be expunged. That's for the marijuana stuff. But certainly if anybody has, been either denied buying a gun or having to make that choice of you are either already a gun owner or even a security guard. I had a security officer come up to me last week after a press conference I had in Tallahassee. He was not part of the press conference. He was just standing on the side of the property where we were doing a press conference. And he comes up to me afterwards. And again, not involved in the press conference, I was not talking about this. And he came up to me and said, look, Ms. Fried, I'm a security officer. Obviously, I have to carry a gun for my job. I also have PTSD and severe back issues, but I can't get a medical marijuana card because I would lose my job. These are the conversations that I have every single day with people all across our state, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, independents, not registered to vote. This is something that is impacting people's lives, whatever side of the conversation you're at, whether you're a marijuana card holder or you are a gun holder. And so these types of issues need to be addressed. And certainly if somebody has been denied purchasing a gun, I'm hopeful that they can go now through the proper channels, get the complete thorough background check, the ATF forms dictate gets done. That way we're doing it safely and making sure that we're protecting our population.
Let's kick it back to JB for our final poll results. Remember, folks, these are not scientific. It's just a quick poll of people who are on our stream right now. JB, what's it say?
664 votes in counting. We asked our Facebook Live audience on the WFLA Facebook page, should marijuana users be allowed to buy guns and maintain concealed carry permits? 78% saying yes, 22% saying no. As my colleague Evan just noted, unscientific social media poll here powered by Facebook Live on the WFLA Facebook page. But those are your results. Evan and Nikki, I'll send it over to you to wrap things up.
Yeah, I want to point out, by the way, folks, that typically our polling, based on the way this happens, and JB can attest more to this since he does this all the time. Our Twitter polls tend to lean left. Our Facebook polls tend to lean right. So it's interesting, Commissioner Fried, to your point, this does seem to be an issue that crosses party lines. And we certainly don't see that much support when we ask these questions for almost anything. So 80% or nearly 80% is a lot. So yeah, I guess that certainly speaks to what you're doing. I do want to finish with two quick things unrelated to this. You've seen the special session. I'm here in Tallahassee covering it and redistricting. The governor yesterday just dropping hours beforehand that they are going to look at Disney's special district. Do you have any comments, any reaction to that?
Yeah, I have a lot of comments and reactions. I'm traveling the state of Florida, talking to everyday Floridians. What's on their mind? Affordable homes, not being able to pay rent, seeing prices increasing all around them, Florida being no longer affordable for people to live here. Those are the issues that the people of our state are caring about. And for the governor to add an issue that only is based on revenge and scare tactics, not issues that are actually, on the forefront of people's minds. Unfortunately, this is how this governor works. He's not listening to the people. He's not listening to the issues that are actually impacting people's lives every day. This is a circus up in Tallahassee, and this is why we need to elect new leadership up there.
Understand you have issues with the way that it was done and the timing and things like that, but I do want to just push you and clarify there. They've pointed out that the Reedy Creek Improvement District has the power to build their own nuclear power plant on that site if they want to. Should a private company have that kind of power? And should we be making exceptions for them when, for example, Universal doesn't have the same advantages?
I certainly have not looked at that issue about the nuclear power plants, but what I do know is that, from even comments from today, what that's going to do to the taxpayers in that community. I think there's going to be almost a $2,200 assessment on individuals if we start changing this. And from my understanding that this Reedy Creek provision has been in place since 1960s. They've never created a nuclear power plant to date. So again, this is made up drama in order to get to revenge because you had a company who didn't agree with a specific bill or policy coming out of the governor's mansion. I think that everybody across our state should be very worried. He went after the cruise line industry. He's going after our tourist industry. This is how this governor reacts, that if in fact you challenge him or you have a differences of opinion, you better watch out because he's going to come after you. I'm sorry, that is not how a governor is ever supposed to operate in a state, especially a state the largest as the state of Florida.
Last question for you, Commissioner Fried. You took a little bit of heat online for a tweet that you posted of yourself on an airplane without a mask. I just wanted to ask you about that. There's some voters who were disappointed in that. Did you want to address that?
I've been very clear on my policy on this issue. I've been saying it for a very long time that I'm not in agreement of mask mandates. I'm not in agreement with mask bans. And so it is up to us as individuals at this point. We know the science, we know the data, we know the information. It is up to us as government officials to give that information out and let people make a decision for what's best for themselves, best for their families, and best for their businesses. And so my decision last night was a personal decision to be on that plane and not to have a mask on.
Commissioner Nikki Fried, Florida Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services, with a landmark lawsuit challenging the federal prohibition on using marijuana and also owning and buying guns. Thanks so much for taking the time with us today on Battleground Florida. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me today, and thanks for covering this.
JB, back to you.
All right, Evan, Nikki, thanks so much for joining us. Folks, the very latest on a very busy week in Florida politics, including the story with Nikki Fried and this lawsuit that has been filed against the Biden administration over marijuana and guns. It's on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, and all of Evan's reporting is available to you as well on WFLA.com, the WFLA app, as the special session continues up in Tallahassee. We'll have coverage all throughout the night and all week long on WFLA News Channel 8 on your side, your NBC station right here in Tampa, Florida. Thanks so much for watching Battleground Florida.